Share data through the art of visualization. This is course number 6 out of 8 in the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate Program. I'm going to review it right now. You just got to analyze stuff. Hey everybody, Matt Bratton here with TMBanalytics.com, your analytics career headquarters. Today we are going to be reviewing the 6th course out of 8 in the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate Program. It's called Share Data Through the Art of Visualization. This was another good one. This was one that I really enjoyed going through. And let's just jump right in over here, guys. So we're gonna get started. You can see right off the bat, I've already reviewed the course. I gave it 5 stars again, and I've been trying to get more stingy with my grading. It's just you can't give partial credit or any of that kind of stuff. So I just figured, you know what? I didn't feel that it was a 4. I thought it was a 5. I thought they did a really good job. I think there's different flavors of people who are getting into analytics right now. You've got the really tech heavy, math heavy, stats heavy type people who are really interested in data science. And then you've got the people who are really into the tools and the design element. And then you've got people like me who are just kind of like out there in the middle. We know enough tech, we know enough math, we know enough all of this stuff to be super dangerous and to get by, to speak the language, to be able to know what you need to do. And we've got some sort of a sense of visualization, design, strategy, things like that. And it's refreshing to actually see a course that's focused on the visualization component, because honestly, I've never taken one. Like I do most of my visualizations in Excel. I've gotten fairly proficient at that. I have taken courses on more elaborate charts and things like that, and how to build dashboards and use slicers and all sorts of fun stuff. I've not taken anything in Tableau until now. I've taken some stuff in Power BI, very light in that. I've used Power BI in my past life, so this was good. It was good. I felt like I was kind of getting up to speed with some of the things that are going on in the world of analytics these days. So I'm going to jump in here to week number 1, which is aptly named Visualizing Data. So we're going to go in, do the song and dance where it talks you through the course syllabus, gives you a quick update on where you stand in the broad scheme of the course and all of that fun stuff. So just, as a reminder to everybody, I don't expect that everybody who sees this has seen my other videos, but if you haven't, go check them out. But yeah, this is very standard. The first week, the intro to the course, is going to go over the syllabus. It's going to give you some things to help you get your bearings, and often it's going to give you these discussion prompts to try to get you out and in the community, engaging with other people. So there's all that to say, the getting started section really doesn't have a whole lot going on, so I don't need to spend more time there. Then it's going to get into understanding data visualization, talks about why visualization matters, how to effectively communicate data through visualization. It talks about the Candelas method, and they spend a lot of time talking about this guy David Candelas, and they give you links to I think he's got like TED Talks and other things like that, very influential in the space. And it talks about a few other things that you can do, gives lots of resources, talks about, it just goes over a lot of things. What I really liked about this course throughout various parts of it is how they've laid out their examples, right? Naturally, if you're going to talk about something like visualization, you got to have visuals. You got to have the eye-catching stuff and be able to relate that back to the data, back to the task at hand. They did a good job at that. And if they hadn't, this would have been an absolute disaster of a course. So it was sort of they had to do this. And I think they did. They talk about colors and shapes and sizes and positioning of different things that you're doing. Accuracy. Are we accurately reflecting the reality of whatever situation it is that we're doing? How do you distinguish certain things that need to be highlighted or maybe are less relevant, and you can kind of blend them in with the background? How do we group data so that there's clear relativity that you're using for comparison? So gets into a lot of that, talks about design principles. It gives you, tips for avoiding deceptive charting tactics or misleading things that people will do. Of course, they're showing this dumpster fire of an example here. Lots of interesting stuff here. Good reading, good videos. I guess I shouldn't click on videos because I never show you guys those, but then they get into the beauty. They try to get you inspiration for stuff. And I think this is in the world of marketing, and I'm not a marketer. So if anybody is watching this who is a marketer and I say something stupid, please go in the comments and correct me, because, what do I know? But there's this concept of, I actually don't remember the term off the top of my head, but people keep these files for inspiration, right? If they see an ad or they see usually an ad, usually a visual, usually something that gives them inspiration, or they go, oh, that's a good idea, I like the way they did that. They drop it into their file for like referring to later when they're looking for inspiration, or if they want to create something new to advertise, they go back and they reference things, and then they use that as motivation. So what they're doing here is they're giving you sources for inspiration. And I'll give you my own little tips. So first of all, they've got great links here, like lots of really good stuff. What I've done in the past and what has helped me get as far as I have in Excel and understanding how to, do cool things within there, is if you've got an idea or you've got a punchline, like I want to show sales stats, this specifically over time, just Google that. Say dashboard, Excel, sales stats, see what comes up. And you'd be shocked when you see some of the results, because the things that people can do in Excel, it's always just crazy sometimes to see, and you're like, holy cow, that's Excel? Like, people can do that? And then what you do is you click on it, you click around, you can save them into your inspiration files, and then you reference those and you look. And if you've got enough experience in Excel, you can look at something like that and go, oh, I know how they did that. I see what they did there. They put a slicer here, or they did this sort of a shading methodology. They put hyperlinks here, that sort of thing. So all of this to say, inspiration is super important when it comes to visualizations. And I appreciate that right out the gates, they're trying to provide that for you so that you can start to see things that you like and get a sense for, hey, this is all stuff that you could figure out, that you could do eventually. So whoa, that was I didn't expect to go that deep on that, but it's important. It's important to be inspired, to be excited about what you're doing. Because if you're one of those people that can't get into the position of the recipient of the data, look, here's the deal. There's plenty of people out there who are just like, show me the data. I don't give a crap how it looks. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Feed those people what they ask for. But never, ever underestimate where your work might end up. So what I mean by that is, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten calls from CEOs or COOs or other higher level individuals in the organization that were never the initial target of something that I put together, yet it got passed on to them, and then they want to ask questions about it, right? So even if your direct manager is only asking for XYZ, that doesn't mean you shouldn't put a little bit of extra effort into it, because you never know who's going to end up seeing that and how they may react to it. Because if you just slap something together real quick, fine. If time is of the essence, you can do that. But if you put your little bow on it and then somebody else sees it, they may be impressed. They may be more inclined to take seriously what you've done, because if you put the effort in, then they're gonna respect that. So just another little 2 cents here. So what on earth am I looking at? Data grows on decision trees. So it talks about what kind of a story do you want to tell? Does your data have one numeric? Are there multiple data sets? Then if they are, then you can do this or you can do that. So it tries to give you a decision tree to help you identify, based on your scenario, what you should build. Over time, this starts to become sort of second nature. But I can't tell you how many times that I've built a chart and I make a line chart, and then I look at it and think, I don't think that this is very compelling. What if I do this, or what if I do that? So I like that they've got multiple options for different scenarios, because the reality is you're probably going to tinker with several, right? You're going to jump between things. Whatever's going to tell the most compelling message or get the point across the most clearly, that is ultimately what you're going to go with. So I like that they're trying to do that, but it's rarely as cut and dry. You kind of got to, test things out. So it's going to give you some examples and, work through some of this stuff. But again, lots of examples in this thing. So let's see what we've got here. Data visualization can make the difference. So this gives you examples of good versus better, right? So that's cool. You can see the trends here, but this is better because this shows you where, degrees of variance from the norm. So up here, this doesn't look too crazy, but if you're down here like, whoa, we were below average and we've been more consistently well above degrees of difference from the norm in recent history, but you couldn't tell that from here. So again, more examples, more inspiration that help you get a sense for ways that you could present information a little bit better. Then we get into design data visualizations, principles of design. It talks about the importance of balance, emphasis, movement, pattern, repetition, yada, yada, yada. So you can see here, they've got a lot of good principles. You can tell, I think they bought or built these icons specifically for this thing here. So, they're taking design seriously, which is nice. What are we doing here? Just more examples, lots of examples. And you need that, right? You need, the more you see, the more you know what's possible. And that's another thing, is sometimes you don't even, it's not even about inspiration. It's about understanding what others have done so that you know what you could do with what you have. More of this. Data is beautiful. By the way, there's a, if anyone who watches this is on Reddit, there's a subreddit called, I think is it Data is Beautiful? Maybe. Now I sound stupid. I think it's called Data is Beautiful, and it's got a lot of visualizations. Some are better than others, obviously. That is just the way of the world. But sometimes there's really cool stuff that people put together and share on there. So again, if you're looking for inspiration, go check out that subreddit. This is just what makes a good visualization. So they go and do this really ridiculous Venn diagram, I guess. I would argue, ironically, that this is not a great visualization because it's so complex. But anyway, I digress. What would I know? This gets into, so again, this is a fit of inspiration where you see these sorts of infographics, right? That's the way that I feel like analytical presentations are moving, or where people are trying to push things, is that everything is almost an infographic. It's not just a chart. It's an infographic, right? It's sort of like a relabeling of the conventional chart. And you look at something like this and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's loaded with interesting information. You could build something like this in Excel. Like you really could. It's all about like formatting and understanding what you're actually looking at and how to get certain icons and shades and things like that working for you. So you look at this and it's like, yeah, you could make this. You could make this. So keep listening. This one's pretty cool. Visualization of dog breeds. Again, inspiration. This whole thing is full of inspiration. Lots of really cool stuff. So I guess it's a website, informationisbeautiful.net. Go check it out. So design thinking and visualization. Design thinking, this whole thing is about design and what you want to do. So you want to be able to empathize with the viewer, define clearly what it is you're doing, ideate, prototype, test, and on and on and on. I don't know that I have more to say about here. And explore visualization considerations. So what do we got here? Pro tips for highlighting key information. It talks about, hey, you've got this chart, and this is another example. So what do you want to do? How can you make this thing, over the course of this thing, they show how they can keep adding things to make this more clear. I think they do an okay job. I don't want to, go down a rabbit hole where I'm just like criticizing or giving feedback on charts that they're using as an example for something that they clearly think is good. That's fine. That's probably not how I would present this, but that's okay. Reading, designing a chart in 60 minutes. This one was funny to me because, they try to put together this formula for building a chart. They're like, okay, you're going to spend 5 minutes prepping, 15 minutes talking and listening to people. Then you're going to do 20 minutes designing and sketching, and then 20 minutes to prototype and iterate, right? This is dumb. It's like, what? Who came up with this? Who came up with 60 minutes? So this is my gripe, I guess, in all of this. This was something that stood out to me, was like, why did you even put this in here? Because I don't see what value this adds. Because I could build a badass chart in a lot shorter time and still accomplish all of those things, because part of the analytical process should be, all of the stuff that we've already talked about. You've already done most of the prep, right? You've already had your engaging discussions. You already know what it is that you're working on. You should have sort of like design ideas in your head already. So the idea that you just suddenly magically in the middle of everything go poof, I'm going to make a chart and I'm going to do it in 60 minutes. No, I mean, this time is peppered throughout the analytical process. This is working towards a punchline. This is working towards a presentation, okay? So whatever. I'm getting all fired up. You guys have probably noticed that over the course of this thing, I've gotten more and more erratic with my emotions, but it's because I care. It's because I care. Line charts. What is this? This is the wonderful world of visualization. So we're talking about line charts, bar charts, heat maps, just giving you examples of very plain vanilla examples of these different types of charts so that you can look at them and go, oh, okay, so that's a distribution graph, that's a scatter plot, whatever. So good to know, good referential. Feel like this should have been further up on the course here, but whatever. I'm not going to complain. I say that I'm not going to complain, but I'm kind of complaining. I acknowledge that. Creating data visualizations with Tableau. So this is where I started to get excited, right? Because this whole thing, you read in the upfront promotion of the certificate program that you're going to get into SQL, your spreadsheets, SQL, and Tableau and R, right? All of those things. So we're finally into the Tableau, which is like the big sexy, big layer, presentation layer that you put over everything. So now we're finally getting into it. So let's get into it. Let's see what we got. So getting started with Tableau, they give the introduction to it. They start talking about how to get into Tableau Public, what you need to do. It explains all things Tableau in here. Goes into primary charts, like what you need to understand for a lot of the basics and just getting started in the system. So tons of resources here. How to get going. So definitely take your time going through this if you've never used, number one, if you've never used any visualization tool, absolutely take your time on all of this stuff because it can get overwhelming really quick. You get into the interface where you're working in Tableau or a lot of these things, it can get overwhelming. So go in here. There's a reason that they put it together like this. It's helpful. So read the stuff, check out these guys. They talk about how visualizations are maybe different in Tableau than in other systems or programs that do visualizations. And it also talks about options of using Tableau Desktop and things like that. So you can download a free trial. Gives you all of that information. Now we're getting into, hey, let's actually create a visualization. And they've got a nice PDF here on how to choose a data visualization. So again, lots of great resources, lots of great practice opportunities, quizzes, lots of them peppered throughout to help you basically get your hands dirty. Let's see here. Where am I going? Optional work. That was already week number 2. We're going to jump into week number 3. And this is crafting your data stories. And I intended to have on my desk, I'll put a link in the description somewhere, but one of the books that I'm in the middle of right now is called Data Story by Nancy Duarte, which is very germane to this whole discussion. It talks about all things, data and presentation of data, telling stories through data, and visualizations are a critical component of that whole process. So it's a book full of inspiration, I'll tell you that. So it's an interesting read so far. Again, I'm not done with it, but so far so good. So crafting data stories. So storytelling with data, imperative. Do I take a detour? Yeah, I don't know that I need to even have this little sidebar, but I'm going to, because again, I hit on it early on in this thing where I said you've got the people who like to nerd out about the math and the tools, the specific tools around data analytics, and then you get the people who are design minded, who like this sort of thing, the presentation layer over things. And we could talk about, left and right brain people who are more minded for visuals and who are more minded for the math side of things. I think you can have it all. I think that if you care, if you understand the business, this gets back to why having business acumen and communication skills, the soft skills, are the most critical things for an analyst to have, because it's more than just the tools. It's more than just the data and crunching the data and running it through programs and running it through visualizations. It's about understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it. And then once you understand those things, then you know how to convey the right message to the right people, right? Who are the stakeholders? What is the problem we're trying to solve? Now, how do I take the information that I have, that I've distilled, that I've analyzed, and communicate back to these stakeholders most effectively what the next steps need to be, or what our findings were? So how do you tell that story? How do you tell that story? And visualizations are a big part of that. So all that to say, I'm very glad that they had this section here talking about storytelling, right? And bringing ideas to life, writing effective data stories. And it talks about setting the context, analyzing variables. It goes through the whole process and things that you need to be mindful of. How to speak to your audience. Lots of good video content in this one. I really liked. I mean, they've all been good, but this one in particular. Learning log. I don't need to get into that. How to use Tableau dashboards. Now we're kind of back into Tableau a little bit, talking about how to get a little bit more technical. This is actually working on doing a little bit of analytics within Tableau. It's more than just creating the visual. It's about, okay, now how do I put the right filters, put the right drivers, whatever you want to call them, knobs, bells, whistles, widgets, so that somebody can interact with what I've built and come away with the message or the answer to the thing that they're trying to get. Okay, all cool stuff. Communicating data stories, making compelling presentations, which I think is also week 4. So we're on week 4 now. Developing presentations and slideshows. Exactly. So now you understand visualizations and why they're important and what they're doing. You understand how to pick the right kind of charts, the sorts of data that you're doing, the problems that you're trying to solve. You've got exposure to Tableau, and you understand how to take it from the basic to a little bit more catered to the problem that you're trying to solve. Now, how do you pull it all together? And we're getting to the art and science of effective presentation. So it took a bit of a turn. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this part. And maybe that's why I left feeling positive again, because they could have spent this whole thing just nerding out on Tableau, but they didn't. They didn't do that. They spent a lot of effort making sure that you're understanding how to tell effective stories, right? And so it gets into like how to do all this stuff and going back to specific methods and how to be simple and to the point and have effective communication. So this is all stuff you maybe go through in school, but in the business world, it tends to be a little bit different. People are a lot more short on time. It's not about you've got to do a 30-minute presentation. It's about, yeah, can you tell me that in 30 seconds? Can you hand me a piece of paper or send me a file that I can just look at in 12 seconds and have an understanding of what's going on, right? It's not always going to be this big, beautiful presentation, but sometimes it is. So it's best to be armed. So it talks about messy data and how to manage all that kind of stuff. More videos, identifying skills, presentation skills and practices. Talks about practicing and how to present, and I think it's got like more TED Talk links and things like that. Tips and tricks and finding your flow, ending with your pitch, so leaving on a high note. Talks about how to put everything together in your deck. So I don't know that I need to, go through the rest of this. So there you go. Share data through the art of visualization. That was course number 6 out of the 8 in the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate Program. Hopefully you got some value from this video. And if you did, like this video, please, and maybe throw in some comments if you've got questions for me. And I try to upload new content every week. So if you're interested in all things analytics careers, please subscribe to my channel, sign up for those notifications so you'll get notified when that happens. And thanks for watching. I'll see you later.